All right, we got Sean McHugh here. Sean was sentenced recently to 6.5 years in prison by a D.C. Court for attending the January 6th protests in Washington, D.C. in 2021. And Sean was caught up in some of the violence there. And there's video of Sean with a bullhorn telling people we're going to go protest peacefully. It's clear as a bell. And yet today Sean has been locked up. How long has it been, Sean?
27 months.
And
locked up 27 months.
Yes, tragically 27 months. And then now he's looking at 6.5 years total. That's what the court decided. You know, Sean, I didn't realize this. I had read your story a couple times, but I didn't realize that your mother was there. Is that correct?
Yeah, I was there with my mother and my friend. We're from California, Auburn, California, and my friend and I were going to go initially, and my mom, I talked to my mom about it, and she was adamant about going, and I was very concerned. So was my friend, and you know what? We made preparations because we have seen the Summer of Love and other rallies where Antifa just runs up on people and that are aimlessly walking down the road and sneaks up on them and hits them in the back of the head with a brick, or just they have no regard for human life is what it seems like, and they want to tear down our institutions and attack innocent people. So we ended up bringing bear spray to the rally, and we had it on us, and we decided that if anybody tried to come at us, we're gonna defend my mother, and that's why we had it on us that day.
Okay, and you guys are from California. Is it Northern California? Is that correct?
Yeah, it's above Sacramento.
Okay,
yeah, Northern California.
And so your mother, she must be a staunch Republican, I guess, huh?
Yeah, my mom is. I don't know if she's so much Republican, but she's Team Trump for sure. These Republicans and Democrats seem to have formed their own uniparty, and so I don't think that she stands with those people like McConnell or anybody, but we're definitely Team Trump.
Yeah, I get that totally, 100%. So, and how old is your mother roughly?
55 years old.
Something like that. Yeah. So you go there with your mother and your friend, which is pretty incredible. And had you been to Washington, D.C. before?
First time ever. But I knew that I couldn't bring like any, real weapons. Not that I would to the Capitol or anything like that. And then even on the Capitol's own website, it does not prevent you from carrying bear spray on the Capitol grounds.
Oh, that's not even listed.
No.
Wow. That's did this come up in court at all that it's not even listed there, or?
Yeah, we mentioned that in a filing.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Right. So then you saw Trump speak at the Ellipse and then walk towards the Capitol, and you're with your mother and your friend?
Yeah. Yeah, and so really initially right off the bat, we ran into Ray Epps. I think it was at the corner of Constitution and 14th, wherever the Ellipse is right there. I'm not quite sure the crossroad. But he pulled us aside because he saw me with the bullhorn, and he said that I had a loud voice, and he encouraged me to get people to go to the Capitol. There was a permitted protest that was going to take place at the Capitol later that day, and I didn't think I was doing anything wrong, and so I was amping people up. And he told me at 1 p.m., we're going to the Capitol no matter what, and whether Trump's done speaking or not. And so he had a dead set on a timeline in his head to get people there at 1 p.m. And as we know, 1 p.m. is when the pipe bomb was found. 1 p.m. is when the breach happened. So it kind of begs to question what type of timeline was he keeping and why.
Right.
So that
exactly.
was my first encounter. Right. So that was my first encounter with Ray Epps. But yeah, I got to see Trump speak. I got caught in a big crowd right up front in the Ellipse, and it was very claustrophobic. So I got out of there, and we walked around the Washington Monument a little bit. And yes, I encourage people to go to the Capitol. In hindsight, I didn't know what I was doing would get people possibly hurt that day, and I'm remorseful for that. So
right, and it was Ray Epps who told you. It was Ray Epps who told you to start announcing that. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow,
that's true.
Well, I was actually down watching Trump speak. It was, and I looked around. I'd never seen a crowd that large in my life. I think there must have been 1 million people there. There was so many people. So I understand your claustrophobia completely.
It was electrifying. The energy that was you could feel the ground move beneath you. I've never been in a crowd that big either, and so you understand what I say. The energy was just totally electrifying, and people were feeding off of that for sure. It was really a moment to behold.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, we should mention a lot of Trump people were hesitant because Antifa the previous 2 months, had attacked a lot of Trump supporters when they gathered in the U.S. Capitol at 2 other rallies in November and December. Were you aware of that?
I'd seen some videos online, and I knew that was one of the strongholds is D.C., as you know, BLM Plaza. So I knew that we were going into sort of quote-unquote, enemy territory type of situation. I was pretty sure they were going to be there, yes.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why you'd bring some bear spray or something else to protect your mother. So was your mother marching with you all the way to the Capitol then?
So what had happened, my mother, right before we were about to go, she had a bathroom emergency. had to go back to the hotel. And so by the time, I escorted her back to the hotel halfway to get her there. We stayed at the Yotel DC. I do not recommend it to other people.
Yeah.
But it's only a block away from the Capitol itself.
Wow.
So you could actually see it. Yeah, it's pretty neat. But so I walked her back there, and then I met back up with my friend, and at the corner of Constitution and right there at the Ellipse, and we hung out the monument for a little bit, and then we seen everybody starting to walk towards the Capitol, so we jumped in. So I wasn't at the very front, but I was amongst the first to start walking. And so my mother was not with us at that time. It wasn't until I got up onto the Lower West Terrace Plaza that I actually called her and told her where I was at. Because she was at the Capitol and she was looking for me.
Oh, wow.
And by this time, I was up at the front, and weirdly enough, my mom showed up right as Joshua Black got shot in the face. And we saw his face explode like a starfish. The rubber bullet just went right through his cheek, and he started gushing blood. It left a big pile of blood on the Lower West Terrace Plaza, and it really shook people to their core. And really what it reminded me of was the Boston Massacre, where they just opened up fire on innocent people. I imagine that something happened because there was Antifa there, like Landon Copeland, and there were communist supporters there, like Josiah Kenyon, who in open court testimony says that he's a communist supporter. He dressed like a Trump supporter in order to agitate.
You have 1 minute remaining.
Right.
To get Trump supporters shot that day, and so their plan
that
worked.
was Copeland who said that, or someone else? Was that
Josiah Kenyon said that? Josiah Kenyon said that in open court, and you know what? The prosecutors fought for a lower sentence for him and Copeland.
Wow.
So go figure.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. All right.
Yeah, maybe. Can I call back?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, please call back. All right, I'll wait. Thanks.
All right.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you for using Global Telling.
I'll look that up, guys. So, Sean, we're back, and you were talking about the breach, around the breach. Wasn't that the last thing we were talking about?
Yeah. So we were at 1:11 p.m. When they started. They just shot Joshua Black in the face, and these are the images that are stuck in my head and my mother's, and she ends up making contact with me because we were both right around Joshua Black. She was on one side, I was on the other, and we couldn't get to each other. It was so crowded there, you couldn't really see 3 feet in front of you.
Wow.
So we finally make contact. I'm yelling at the cops about shooting innocent people, and she grabs me by my backpack, and she pulls me back towards her, and then she says, "We need to get out of here." And then all hell breaks loose. You had Landon Copeland push Christopher Quagland into the police officers and start attacking them. And then they start opening fire on everybody. And my mother and I, we're not engaging with the crowd at all. In the video, DSC 0006, I have a copy of it. It's in my discovery and the exhibits in my case as well. We're holding each other. We have each other's hands over each other's heads, and we're just embracing each other, not engaging in the crowd around us at all. And my mother winces and cries out in pain, and I fear for the worst. I just seen Joshua Black with a hole in his face. I don't know what's going on.
Right.
And I tell her to get behind a wall, and I spray up into the air. I obviously know I'm not going to hit the officers that are perched up on the Upper West Terrace shooting down. And it looked like I was 20 to 30 feet away from the officers that were down below. I wanted to stop what was going on around me, and it was a fight or flight type of situation, and I sprayed bear spray up into the air. Hindsight, might have made a mistake, but I don't know that I would have made a different choice if I was put in that situation 1,000 times over again.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Now, tell me this, Sean. When they started firing, was there any warning? I don't think there was any warning that day, was it? From the police?
There was absolutely no warning. They had a PA system they could have got over because, it was the inaugural stage. They could have just turned on the PA system. They could have said there's a bomb threat and told everybody to leave. I mean, if anybody with a half of a brain would have thought about that, but I don't think they wanted that to happen. So no, there was no warning at all. They said they didn't ever tell us that we couldn't be there or anything. They just started opening up on people. They started throwing flashbangs at people. My buddy got hit with a flashbang, went off right beside his head and cracked his tooth.
Oh my God.
And he got dizzy, fell to a knee. His tooth ended up getting cracked by it. And so that's at the time that he took off.
Okay.
But I had to see what was going on at the front line and what they were doing to people. They were attacking innocent women. And this one, Ricardo Bolson, is an MPD officer. He picked up this girl and literally threw her onto the leg of one of these barricades that had fallen over. And she landed on it with her abdomen. And I just couldn't believe it. And then he's bragging about it. They're just going off and attacking people.
What was the name of that officer? What was the name of that officer?
It was Ricardo Volson.
Okay. Yeah.
Ricardo Volson. And I have his badge number and whatnot. I can look for it. But, what we saw up there, you can't explain. And people that think they know what they would have done, like my judge, he said you could have just simply walked away after your mother got shot. He wasn't there. People were not there. And to explain what you were seeing, it was so surreal. I had to see what was going on. I had to stay there. I had to witness what was happening. It wasn't okay.
Sure.
But Ray Epps is walking up and down.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this again to clarify. So your mother was shot. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Was she next to you when this happened, or how was she hit? Was she injured? Tell me a little bit more about that.
In her back, she had some welts on her back. They didn't puncture the skin.
It was rubber bullets.
So it was either rubber bullets or mace balls. I'd imagine if they were rubber bullets, because they were so close, I don't think they're supposed to shoot those how close they did, and that's why it went through Joshua Black's face. So it might have been a mace ball because it didn't puncture her skin. I don't know, but all I know is that she cried out in pain, and I pictured the worst case scenario in my head. I didn't know what was happening at that point.
Yeah, that's insane.
But that's the time that I told her to get. There was this little wall behind us, and I told her to get behind the wall, and I pulled the bear spray out of my holster, and I sprayed it up into the air. You could see it's pointing up. The wind carries it, and a little bit of miss hit this guy's face, I guess. Lieutenant Dennis Kelly, he came to my court and he said on the victim impact that, you know, I was responsible for his life leaving him, that he has night terrors, that he can't work at the scene of the crime anymore, he had to take an early pension, he has aphasia, all this stuff, and it just does not match the video at all. He took a couple steps back, and, you know, then he goes about his business telling people what to do.
Yeah.
But in the court, you know,
that's tragic.
It's kind of,
yeah,
it's kind of.
In my opinion, that guy's. In my opinion, he sounds like a big liar. So it's ridiculous that he would say that.
Well, his wife left him because he's a pansy, to be honest. So that's why his wife left him.
Well, there you go. Anyway, so then this happened, you know, near the Capitol. But then what happened with this the situation with this sign? Can you tell me about that? That was before this. Was that before this happened or after?
It was after. So it was a little before 2 p.m. I think it was like 1:50 p.m. So what had happened, Ray Epps, however, was walking up and down the police line telling officers that we knew this would happen. This is why we're here. We have it on body camera. Anyway, he was also saying that we don't want to go in just yet. We want to hold back because we don't want to get shot. I don't know how he knew someone was also going to get shot that day, but he seemed to know that we don't want to go in just yet. But anyways, so we're at the front line, and the sign starts coming over us. And actually, a body cam that shows really clear footage of it is from Jason Cropper. He's with NPD. His badge number is 5926. The length of the video is 1 hour 32 minutes. But at 20 minutes 58 seconds, you can see on that video that my mom's hand goes up because the sign's coming over her head, and she has to kneel down. And so she tries to put her hand up, but it's a very big sign. It's like 15 by 20.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that video several times. Yep. So your mother had to. Yep, it went over your mother's head.
Yeah, she's wearing a red jacket, says Team Trump, and she's got white gloves on. Very, very distinguished in the crowd. And, so her hand goes up, and then it comes down on her, and she falls down on the steps. Actually, Joseph Padilla, who was also there, he and I both helped my mother up. And then by this time, the sign's swinging around towards us, and I put my hand out to stop the sign from, knocking her down anymore. And there's this, bar on the sign that's swinging around, and I also have to stop. But I did yell, put it up there. What I thought was happening is that, it says Trump. I thought we're going to set it up, or whatever the plan was. I don't know if there was a plan. There's just this sign coming through the crowd. But I thought maybe you're going to show it to the Capitol, people in the Capitol or the Capitol Police, and say, look, we want Trump. Big sign that says Trump. I thought we were flipping it up to show them Trump. I didn't know.
Yeah, and where did that sign? Did you ever figure out where that sign came from?
No, I have no idea.
That's interesting that somebody would bring such a big metal sign and then march it up towards the front and throw it at the cops. And of course, but Ray Epps was leading that effort from the videos we've seen. Is that correct?
Well, he was at the rear of the sign, and he could have stayed where he was at, but he actually followed it. He actually moved with the sign. He had both hands on the sign. And his body language, he was charging, pushing that sign forward. And at that moment, through Capitol CCTV footage, you can see that that's when it kind of rams into my mother and I again.
So it rammed it. Wait a minute, Sean. So it rammed into you twice? Is that right? And it knocked your mom down the first time? Bench. What? Go ahead.
Yes, and then we're standing to the side of it, and I can't say that it was Ray Epps himself because there's a lot of hands on it. There's over a dozen men who are charged for it. Ray Epps is not one of them.
Right.
Okay. And then 60 Minutes actually cuts him out of the footage where he's jamming it in to the police officers or to the front line where my mother and I are standing, which makes it come towards us, and I have to put my hand on it again, and it actually almost knocks us down again. Correct.
Wow. Well, I didn't realize, Sean, that 60 Minutes cut Epps out of the the picture.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. That was,
I'll have to look for that.
Yeah,
Was that during their interview with Ray Epps? Or was that
exactly. Yeah, they just show him standing in the crowd behind the sign.
Oh my God, they are such liars. Because it's clear if you ever see the video, if the normal American, of course, Ray Epps is the one who's leading the charge on this like he did all day. Oh my gosh. So so your mother you guys got hit once and then the sign came back over and then you get knocked around again. Is that correct or no? You still there, Sean?
You have 1 minute remaining.
Sean, were you able to hear that? Shoot, I think I lost you, Sean. I think I lost you. On.
Okay.
We got cut off there for a second.
Yeah, we're back.
Yep.
Yeah. Sorry about the technical difficulties here at the jail.
No problem. No problem at all. So, maybe did we have more to say about this this sign incident? I know that we've written about this before, Sean, and I think we found 8 different guys who got several years in prison for touching that sign, and we also know that the average length was about 3 years for touching that sign, and so that also then includes you now.
Yeah, so I actually wasn't. That charge was dropped for me. I was only convicted of a 111B, which was bear spray, and a 1512 for obstruction of official proceeding. But they use it against me. They used it against me in court. They said that I joined in with a bunch of people to ram a sign into police officers, which is actually so far from the truth. And if by that same logic, then Ray Epps should be held accountable.
Well, he was the one leading. He's obviously the one who was leading that effort. It's very clear on the video. So. Well,
he was there. I want to say this on the record for everyone to hear. Ray Epps was there to set innocent people like me up and the Proud Boys.
Sure.
He was there to make sure what happened at that Capitol that day happened, and this needs to be brought out. I mean, he's just one person. There was plenty of people that were there that are involved, and obviously go a lot deeper. January 6th was a setup that day, but I don't want to get too far into the weeds with that.
Yeah. It certainly appeared that way. The more we learn, so then this week when they sentenced you for this crazy 1512 charge, which everybody gets because it's just something they made up out of whole cloth that they're starting to throw at Trump supporters now, who were there that day. And then also it was the bear spray that you shot up in the air, and you're getting and then they decided that you needed to serve 6.5 years for that incident. Is that correct?
Yeah. I think actually they were asking for 123 months for me. But here's what.
So that's 10 years. Is that about 10 years? Something like that.
Yeah, just over 10 years. 10 years, 3 months. Right. Here's what they do: is they take a base charge like your 1512, which is a base level offense of 14 points. Well, 14 points would put me at 27 to 33 months. That's how long I should have done, and that's the worst charge. That's the 1512 with without any enhancements. Now what they do is though they add 8 points of enhancements for this, 6 points of enhancements for the official victim. 4-point enhancements for this and that, and now you're sitting at 31 points, and you're looking like the worst of the worst in the world, and they're saying that, you need to do 137 months or whatever, and then they cut it in half, and then they say, see, we did you a favor, but it's still way higher than what you should be statutorily charged for. Man, there's so many complicated parts into this, and these lawyers, they're not really helping us out, especially these PFP lawyers, to be honest, because what they do is they put you in debt. PFP will actually only give them about 10 to 15 grand, and then they put you in debt, and then you have to owe they're doing it on a discounted rate, like $50,000, when really they would take 100. And so what they really want to do is they just push you along and get you a little plea deal and do whatever the prosecution wants to do. And that's what happened with me. He didn't fight for any of the enhancements to be dropped for me. Didn't do anything that I asked. And initially he said he was going to go to bat for me and he was going to fight for me in trial. Didn't do that. Didn't even show up to my trial, to be honest.
So,
I mean, you can't make this
what is
stuff
his
up.
name again? What's the attorney's name?
Joe Allen.
Joe Allen.
Joe Allen out of Missouri, yeah. And on the court floor, he said that I was small-minded, weak-minded, to believe Trump's rhetoric, and I got easily infected with this political rhetoric and this and that. I actually think it's quite funny because I'm not small-minded, and I have a very clear idea about what's going on that day.
Sure.
And I wasn't able to articulate that through a competent lawyer the whole time. I had 3 different lawyers.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, and it's just really sad and devastating. There's a lot of cogs in this wheel that seem to be faulty. And, yeah, hey, but I'm sorry to switch gears here. We were talking about Ricardo Volson.
Okay.
His badge number is 10306, and he's with Metro Police Department. I have all of these notes. I have all of these times written down, and I have somebody that has these videos.
Great.
And I could coordinate. With you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That'd be great. That would be great.
And so I want to make sure that happens, and I want to thank you again, Jim, because you do such great work, and the Gateway Pundit has done so much for the J6ers and the J6 movement. You guys are really awesome.
You know, it never was it was never a question because it's just so outrageous what's happened here. So
Jake Lang is a giant fraud. Don't go into it. That's Dominic.
there you go.
Can't help anybody.
All right.
But if there's any other questions you have, I could. Not a fan of Jake. I could hammer them out. No, actually, I heard him.
I think this is good. I think I got your Gibson going. We'll put that up, and yeah, I think this is really interesting because this is, of course, one of those big stories they're hiding from the American public, and the mainstream media, of course, as dishonest as they are. This is a huge story that they just refuse to report on, and we're going to report the truth and show this. And I didn't realize that your mother was knocked down during this episode. By the way, how is your mother, and was she charged?
Hold on here real quick. My mother was shot by rubber bullets or mace balls. Then we had Officer Tao come over, and she was yelling, "This is the peaceful protest." I have this on video as well. Officer Tao sprays her directly in the face for saying this is a peaceful protest, and then keeps walking away. And then she's hit with a sign and knocked down, and then it's almost rammed into her again. I don't think they want to charge her because I'll be the first one to get on the stand. And then we have this all documented on video. But no, she has not been charged. They have been trying to intimidate her and showing up to her house. So she subsequently moved. She never answered the door for the FBI.
Yeah.
And
Well, God bless her. I'm glad she's okay.
She is doing okay. Yes.
Yeah.
She is doing okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, she sounds like a good woman, a good mother. So, all right, Sean, thanks so much for this. This is really interesting. I'll try to work on it over the weekend and get something up early next week. Okay.
Thanks for everything you do. Thank you.
All right, Sean. It's great talking to you. Okay. All right. Bye.
All right.